There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. I see with new eyes, allow and unfold, embrace and let go, trust the flow. There's a freedom in love when you follow your heart. Together we are stronger than we could ever be apart. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. Breathe in and out, slowly feel all that's around you, all that you feel, all that you know. Let it go. Welcome to love, welcome to peace, welcome to our community. Be who you are, let your light shine. We're so much more when we unite. Yeah, when we unite. Oh, we unite. Yeah, yeah, when we unite. Yeah, yeah, welcome here. Love is welcome here. Peace is welcome here. You are welcome here.
That's better. Thank you, Spirit. You are welcome here. That was John Stringer, my dear brother friend. You can find out more about him by going to johnstringerinc.org. John Stringer Inc. You are welcome here. Thank you for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and good day to you. Wherever you are at this moment in time, thank you for saying yes to life. Thank you for giving yourself permission to listen and to be transformed. We're all in this together. How are you doing today? What is bubbling up in your consciousness? How are you navigating this new normal, this period that I call showtime? How are you feeling? Sometimes you may feel like, kind of excited, but then you may have a little, what do I call it? The elevator music. Like when you get in an elevator in UK, the lift, if you're in there, there's music playing, but you're not really paying attention to it. If it's not a song that you like, it'll be bothering you. But if it's a song that you like, you're sort of quietly humming while you're thinking of your boo that you're going to meet virtually. Well, some people are still meeting face to face, which is kind of interesting. But it is what it is. But yeah, what's bubbling up in your consciousness? Where are you listening from? Like, it'd be good to know. I have been making a lot of new friends on Facebook now. People just seem to be coming out of the woodwork. And it's like, oh. And then some people are just trying it. Like young people I used to work with many years ago. You're trying it. They're just trying it. I'm like, nah, you just started Facebook. We have nobody in common, no mutual friends. And you only have like 99 people? Nah, I'll wait to be friends with you. This is Being You, the journey back to yourself, episode 35. I love how this is growing and unfolding. And those of you who joined me last week would know that I had my friends, Diana and Carolyn, and we were talking about a webinar that we were going to be hosting last Friday, August 24th. If you were there, you already know it was off the chain, of course. Really, we've got some great feedback. But I tell you, after participating in that webinar, I'm like, I got to step up my game. And I learned so much. We're going to be doing another one soon in about a few weeks. So if you missed it, you can always participate. And then, I just had another idea. If you don't want to wait, well, let me check this with my friends first, with Diana and Carolyn. But I think this is a good idea. I'm just going to say it anyway. And then if they say no, then I just tell you it was overruled. But if you really missed it, you could still get the recording because we recorded it. So you get everything that all the participants got. And it's packed. And, all the feedback that we've gotten is just really so much more than they expected. So I'm grateful for that. I am Ade. You knew that, but if you don't, now you do. I am your beingness artist. I am the one chosen this very moment to support you in tapping into what is good and great about you. Let me check the chat room. Michelle is in the house. Michelle said, yep, it was fantastic. I highly recommend it. Thank you, Michelle, my dear sister friend. It was awesome. I was inspired by the content that I was co-hosting. That's something. Christine is in the house. Christine, it's been a while. We need to connect. It's going to happen because we have the intention, right? And have Quali in the house as well. Hello, my dear sister. I love those emojis. How's it going in Florida? And who else is in it? I'll come back to that. So anyway, I'm your beingness artist. And if you're struggling, don't know how to really tap into yourself, you are trying to figure out what your purpose is, it's like you feel something, but you don't know what it is. You can't find the words. I am your man, lifecoachade.com. I'm just telling you, trust me, you can't go a day without Life Coach Ade, because if you do, you're going to miss out. This is the House of Love, so I welcome you and I thank you for being here. Being You is about the journey back to yourself. And as you walk back into yourself, to yourself, I'm inviting you to take a look at how you see yourself. Now, just take some time to kind of figure that out, because sometimes we don't. We're worried about the pandemic. We're worried about loved ones. We're worried about people who we think, maybe don't have access to things that they need. We're worried about other people. We've been conditioned to do that. And that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But it's important to kind of take a look at ourselves. How am I feeling? What do I want? What am I noticing? Am I excited? Am I stressed? Am I overjoyed? Am I sad? Because this is a journey back to self. You've got to take an inventory. So you're taking a look at yourself and see how you see yourself. Is it mostly judgmental or more from a compassionate point of view? It makes a difference. How do you see this world? That's another thing. How do you see the world? Is the world a place where people are just greedy, don't care about anybody else? Is that how you see it? Is the world full of greedy leaders? Whatever your definition of the world is. Maybe the world is a great place for you to be where you are living it up, or you're taking the lessons from the experiences and the opportunities to just grow and develop. And it's also important to take a look at how you see yourself in the world. So you take a look at yourself, you kind of see what you're feeling and thinking. You look at the world. Now, how do you see yourself in the world? Do you see yourself as the only good person or one of a few? Are you the light worker and others are the dark? I guess if it's light, it's dark, right? So the dark workers, you know, do you see yourself as the one that's bringing change? Or do you see yourself as the one thinking, hi, I have no idea what I'm doing on this planet. I want to go home. I want to go home. And just as important, it is important to see. Just as important is important. Right. Got it. That's very important. How you see the world in you. And the more we begin to see the world in ourselves, it will change how we see ourselves and how we see the world. And we get to contribute, looking at my thing over here. I'm chopping my head off. Let me see what I look good on Facebook. I look good all the time anyway, not just on Facebook, but somehow on YouTube, I'm chopping my head off. Oh no, I'm not. I just need to scroll down. I look even better now. What are we talking about today? We are talking about when things fall apart. What you gonna do? Jackie is in the house. New NJ. She said it's a good day to be with that day. Oh, I like that, and I like you. It's a good day to be with that day. Yep, because you've heard it. What a difference that day makes. I'm just saying. So yeah, things are falling apart. Let me go in here. Actually, now I want to just to make sure I can see things that's happening on Facebook because I'm somewhat limited. And I have a wonderful young lady who is helping me. I just love her. I love her consciousness, her willingness to grow and really take a look at herself. India, she's behind the scenes. She's moderating. So say hello to India, those of you in the chat room, and thank her on my behalf for being there. So there's some things I don't even have to worry about, think about, because she got it. she got it going on. So yeah, today my topic is there's a lot of things that I missed here. I needed to scroll up. It's all about scrolling up today. When things fall apart. Kenneth Green, namaskar, my brother. It's so nice to see you. Kenneth, he said this. You're funny. I like how you said, well, Facebook tells me who you are, right? And then you say, this is Kenneth Green, just in case I did. All this love. I'm feeling, stop. I'm turning purple. I'm getting all shy. Come on, keep giving some more love. I can take it. Mr. Puppet Show production man, I know you. Of course. Good to see you and hear you. Yes, it's good to see you. Maybe not to hear you because I can't hear you. Fantastic virtually, said. I like that. Thank you, my brother. It's nice to see you. Yep, keep just bathe me with love. And actually, you know, yeah, okay. That love thing that you're doing, it's tuning me to the place that is breaking open. So thank you for that love. Eleanor, nice to see you. Let me see. Oh, that's Marilyn from Canada, right? Yeah, everybody else tell me where you're listening from. Marilyn loves giving love. And I love receiving love. And this is the house of love. So whenever you come here, whatever you bring to this place is going to dissolve. If you refuse to let it go, you won't even find it. Somehow you're like, I feel lighter. because that's just the way it is. That's the intention. That's what I'm holding the vision for. So we are going through and growing through a process of death and rebirth. And it is activating a lot in us. It's bringing so much up. And it's more than just the fact that we have a virus that's spreading. Actually, this is what happens when a virus go viral. We've been going viral on what's that other Vine, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. Now, when a virus go viral, better brace yourself. You better hide. Now, here's the thing. Actually, when a virus goes viral, don't hide. Open yourself up, metaphorically and spiritually speaking. Because sometimes some of us get heady. He's like, see, there goes the spiritual people telling people to open themselves up. Yes, open your heart, open your mind. And I want to give you something about virus, which I shared once on one of my podcasts, maybe about 4 weeks ago, by Reverend Greta. She is one of the ministers at Agape International Truth Center in Los Angeles, the home of Michael Bernard Beckwith. And she came up with an acronym, VIRUS. And she said, a very important reminder of our union with spirit. A very important reminder of our union with spirit. I feel that. I feel that at such a deep, deep level. Marilyn, yes, I love Reverend Greta Shishita. I love her. And we are in that place. Things are falling apart. And we have an opportunity. It's an invitation. And some of us, we're being forced to remember our union with spirit. Why is that important? Well, why is that important? I'll tell you. The work that I do is about spiritual empowerment. It is about supporting people to see themselves and tap into something that is great about themselves that they know. There's often a longing for that part. Actually, I don't need this. It just feels weird without it, but I'm going to take it off. There's often a longing for that part of ourselves because it is always calling us back to itself, back to ourselves, back home. And sometimes we can busy ourselves with work, relationship, and stuff, all kind of stuff. But we're in a place now where we have to listen. And I believe that everything starts from the spiritual aspect. So when things are falling apart, it's a blessing. It's a gift. It is an opportunity to access something that you've been praying for, that you've been wanting, that you're desiring. It can be messy. It can be scary. However, if you can just sit, and I'm going to say more about that, if you can just sit. So for me, I see this as things falling apart, things breaking, and we just need to let it. Let me look in the chat room here. I'll come back to the chat room. I know India's got it anyway, so. What is falling apart in you? And I invite you to get real honest with yourself. Because in life, no matter how hard you try, there's always, I guess if you will, the positive and the negative. the heavy and the light. And I'm not talking about light bulb and electric. I'm talking about lightness in spirit. Your heart being light. Yeah, that's a good one. Let me go back to that comment that's on the screen right now. I think that's pretty powerful that Karen shared earlier. She says, sometimes things must fall apart to create space for healing our collective planet. There is no us, and that there is no us and them. It is all us. Yes, time to awaken. There is only us, and the us stands for united in spirit. When we remember that we're all united in spirit, it's a whole different conversation. So in this place, in this space where we are being invited to go within, there is something I need to do right now because I'm trying to ignore it, but it's not happening. So I am going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just do this, mute myself for a minute and I need to type something. I need to send a message. India can't help me because she's in a different location. Here we go. Oh my goodness. I was chatting away, talking to myself. I muted myself because I needed to type. I guess I could have done it without muting it. Thank you very much. I love my listeners. So what was I saying? All right, let me go back. So yes, when I came back, I had to take care of what I needed to take out. But I anyway. So the Sacred Yes, downloaded through Reverend Deborah L. Johnson, my friend and mentor. She's going to be joining us every first Tuesday of the month now. She used to join me every first Tuesday of the month. And, the shifting that needed to happen. Now we're getting back. And in her book, The Sacred Yes, I was looking to see if I have it right here, but I don't. It's in my bag, but it's not important. There's a section about spiritual truth and personal truth. And sometimes, most of us on a metaphysical journey, on a spiritual journey, we have a tendency to judge our physical side, to judge the fact that we maybe sometimes find ourselves being jealous, that we're not patient, or that what are some of the things? Maybe there's some things we've been dealing with. We're struggling to forgive people, struggling to forgive our parents, a mother, a father, and we judge ourselves for having a judgment about something. But the whole idea of a spiritual journey is being able to bring all of it to the altar of love, so it can be altered. So it's not about denying your human aspect. It's not about denying the fact that you can't quiet your mind. It's not about denying the fact that there's some things that you did in the past that you regret. It's about bringing that to the table and honoring your humanity. You must honor your humanity and your spirituality. And in honoring your humanity, you get to honor yourself when you're in a place of suffering, when you're going through and growing through pain, rather than deny it, rather than judge or criticize yourself for suffering because you don't have the things that you think you should have, or maybe right now you don't know where money's coming from, or you don't have the skills to take care of your children, and you feel like you're not equipped to bring peace to the house. You're just dealing with a lot. So rather than judge yourself for that, just recognize that's what's happening. And the truth is, the human experience, your humanity, is the reason you're thirsting for more of God, the more of the divine, the more of that thing inside of you. Because you have an experience that didn't feel good. Maybe you felt betrayed. And because of that, you look for another way. You may not even know what you're looking for. And sometimes a book would just fall right in front of you. And it's just what you need. I find that for me right now, I have books that when I pick it up, I'm trying to read a certain chapter, or maybe I want to read through it and go to the context. What is it? The chapter? Content? I think. Wherever it says a chapter, whatever it's called, I can't remember right now. And I would open up to a page, and without even trying to open to that page, and I now know to listen to that. And when I do, it's just what I need to hear. Some people do it with the Bible. Some people do it with different things. It could be a sign on the street. And the same thing in life. Whatever you are dealing with, whatever's showing up, particularly if it's rubbing you the wrong way, don't deny it. Embrace it. Something in you is breaking and is inviting you. I recently had an experience a few days ago. Woo, confession. So it's actually amazing how that happened, really. So I'll go outside to the back in the garden. It needs a haircut. And we had a lawnmower. And I said my sister and I, we have let me say it this way. We have a lawnmower, and then someone borrowed it. And so I was like telling my sister, okay, can you have your friend bring the lawnmower back? Because I need to take care of this lawn. I need to take care of the grass. There was a beautiful yellow flower. And what's it called? I don't think I know. I do know. What is that flowery thing that you pull off during spring and you blow on it? Somebody tell me in the chat room. What is it called? I don't know. But anyway, you know what I mean. And I look how there's that sort of whitish grayish flower, and there's a yellow one, and it looks good. But the lawn, to my eyes, look jacked up, but it looks beautiful. So sometimes something beautiful can look jacked up to you. I digress. Anyway, so my sister was asking a friend when is the friend going to bring back the lawnmower? And it was sort of like this back and forth. And the last reply that my sister got and showed with me, was the friend said, I don't know when I can bring it. It may be tomorrow or not. I don't know. So my sister sent me dandelions. Thank you very much, New Jays. My sister sent me the reply that this is what her friend said. And I remember looking at that reply. What do you mean? How are you going to take our lawnmower or borrow it and then say you don't know when you're bringing it back? Oh, I was hot. I was like, people, the nerve. Oh, I was going there. And then, when you're mad, you're just looking for other reasons to blame other people. It just starts to happen. And then in my thought, I started to blame my sister. She had nothing to do with it now. But in my mind, as I was making it up, I was like, oh, she just allowed people to do things like this. Oh, I was all up in it. I was staring the shift. No, I was staring the shit. I was staring the shit. There's no other way to put it. I was staring it. And I noticed that later on that night, it was still bothering me. And I was thinking, okay, I need to let this go now. I'm thinking, the yard is not that bad. It needs doing, but it's covered. Ain't nobody's really seeing it. But I kept feeling like it was bothering me. I woke up the next morning. It was bothering me. Ooh, and I was like, okay, enough. So I said, okay, Spirit, I need to know what is behind what I'm feeling. Because, yeah, I'm feeling like, oh, she's been irresponsible or just didn't care after taking our lawnmower. And then she's saying, I don't know when I'm going to bring it back. What? Have you lost your mind? So I was sitting outside and then looking at the grass and thinking, well, it needs doing, but it's still beautiful. And I was talking to Spirit. I said, I really want to know why this bothers me so much. What is really happening? Because it's more than a lawnmower, and it's more than the fact that she can't bring it back or doesn't know when she's bringing it back. So I sort of stayed with it and kept processing and saying, okay, so I'm mad because I really want to do the lawn, and she's saying she doesn't know when she's going to bring the lawnmower back. So I feel like she's getting in my way. She's interrupting my plans. And I kept going. I'm like, okay, that's not quite it, but just keep going. I kept going. I'm thinking, well, I feel like someone's stopping me from doing what I want to do. Okay, all right, keep going. And then I thought of A Course in Miracles. This whole thing about everything that we do, we either extend in love or call for love. We're either calling for love or we're extending it. So I said, okay, there's a part of me that's calling for love. Like, how could she not even think? It's like, why can't she be so compassionate enough to answer my request to bring back our lawnmower so I can do what I want to do? So when I narrowed it down, I was feeling like I wasn't getting the compassion, the understanding from her, which is really love, to understand my plight. And I said, oh, okay. I've given her a lot of power. So once I had that clarity, I took a deep breath. And then out of the blue, see, when you're dealing with something and you're willing to stick with it, no matter how painful it is, no matter how petty it is, if you're willing to stick with it, it will shift you. That's why I said first I was stirring the shit. But if you don't sit with the shit, to analyze it, to be with it instead of run from it, don't use no air freshener. Just smell all the funk of your emotions. Then you can go through the shift. So when I realized, okay, there's a part of me feeling like she's taking something from me, I was asking for her understanding, her compassion, and she won't give it. So I took a deep breath. And then this thought popped in my head. Someone gave us that lawnmower, but I can't remember who gave it to us. Now, when she said she didn't know when she was going to bring it back, I responded to my sister. I don't know if I said that already. I told my sister, I said, that's ridiculous. And my sister already sent me another message. So she said, which part are you referencing? But I was so mad. I said, I don't even want to talk to her because this is your friend. So once I realized, I feel like, okay, I was mad because I feel like she's not been understanding. She's not being compassionate and helped me do what I want to do. The thought came to me, well, where did we get the lawnmower from again? And I remembered one of my sister's friends said, oh, if you want to use the lawnmower, fine, just keep it. So I started to think about it. I said, I don't remember who gave us the lawnmower. And I thought, I wonder if it's this same lady now that I was mad at. I wonder if she's the one that gave it to us. So I came back in and asked my sister. I said, who gave us that lawnmower? It's the same woman who took a lawnmower back. I was like, oh, shit, my bad. I feel so humbled. It was such a breakthrough. Now, I've been mad at her for not bringing her thing back because she just ain't got time to bring it back. But I became possessive. But things were breaking apart, was falling apart in me because I could feel how mad I was about a lawnmower. It's like, what the hell is going on? But the fact that I was willing to stay with it and not blame her, well, I did eventually at the beginning, but eventually I didn't. Like, okay, let me look. What is really presenting itself? And what I realized was I'm actually judging her, criticizing her, blaming her for something that I didn't need to blame her for. And the lesson is, for me, what's the lesson? Well, what it reminds me of is a proverb in Nigeria. And basically translate to, if you throw a stone to the market, it's going to hit a family member. And in this case, I threw the stone of judgment and it came back and hit me because I was judging somebody who actually did us a favor in the past. It's a small example. For me, there's some others. I may share some if it's in alignment to share it. But you can look at areas in your life and find things where I'm sure you can. Maybe people that you're still holding hostage. People in your life that you're judging for the way they are. And maybe intellectually you say, well, I know why they're like that, but come on. That's 10 years ago. That's 50 years ago. That's a long time ago. The person who did that to them is dead. Let it go. What if you don't have the whole story? What if they have moved through it, but you are still holding on to the way you think they are or how they used to be? But you got to be willing to stay with it. It is uncomfortable. And we all, most of us, maybe globally, all of us on this planet, understand what it means to be uncomfortable in a time where so much is falling apart. Jobs are falling apart, relationship, churches. And when I say relationship, I'm talking about romantic relationships and just even platonic relationships and how we see ourselves. The economy is falling apart. This is good. It is a death and dying process. I don't see this as a punishment. I don't see that this is Mother Nature, even though we say like Mother Nature is trying to teach us a lesson. Mother Nature don't have to teach you nothing. Mother Nature is just being motherly. Just like your body, when there is an injury, it's going to heal itself. If you cut yourself, it's going to hurt. You're going to feel the pain. Is your body torturing you, punishing you because you that's why you felt the pain? No, it brings your attention to what just happened. So we're in a place now where life has got our attention. And it's I call it, you've heard me say it, I call it what do I call it? Showtime. Showtime. I'm going to say more, of course, but I want to see the chat room because I know I missed some things. There's some comments going on. I love that you guys were telling me, no sound, no sound, no sound. No, it's not just you, Deborah. It was me. It's not you this time. It's me. Christine Overrocker, nice to see you, my dear sister. She said, I am studying and seeking knowledge and truth. And let's see. Thank you, Marilyn. Marilyn said, Ade, unmute yourself. Damn it. No, she didn't say that. Table of contents. That's what I meant. See, if I had looked in here, I would have. Yeah, thank you. You guys are so helpful and so generous. Yeah, that's right, New Jays. She said, that's Aries fire. Yeah, the Aries fire, man. Sometimes we'll burn shit up because we want to shift. And then later we're like, oh my God, I got caught up in my own flames. Somebody pour water on me. Oh, God help me. God help me. Yeah, you know, I have my side and I embrace it all. So when things are falling apart, it causes pain. It causes struggle. And earlier I was saying, and I don't think I finished that thought, is particularly those of us, generally speaking, on the metaphysical path, we have a way of running to the light. We often want to run to what is good and deny the things that we call bad. We run from pain and pretend it's not there. We pretend we're not struggling. What if? What if you can make room for pain? What if you can make room for struggle? When I say make room for it, I'm not saying invite it, because pain and struggle will show up with or without your invitation. And there are many ways in which we struggle. There are many ways in which we feel pain. What if you just allow pain to be just that, pain? Whatever struggle you're having or going through, whether it's a health challenge, maybe it's a financial challenge, maybe it's a business challenge. What if you just allow it to be that and not making yourself wrong about what you're going through and growing through? No matter how spiritual you are, no matter how enlightened you are, as long as you're in this physical body, you're going to experience pain. You're going to experience struggle. Even if the struggle is inspired, if you will, through your learning, because you catch an idea that's so transformative that when you read it, you had to highlight it. You had to put it on a note. You had to put it in your refrigerator. But somehow in your life, you can't seem to work it. It's like you struggle. Like somehow I just can't seem to make that principle, that thing that I read in a book, work for my life. It must be because I don't meditate long enough. It must be because my consciousness, blah, blah, blah. It could be because of love. Well, usually we don't say it could be. We're saying it is. Oh, it's my karma. Oh, it's because I haven't forgotten people. Not forgotten, forgiven. Well, that too. And you don't have to, anyway, you can forgive and don't forget, which helps you know there's more forgiving that needs to be done. When you forgive, you won't even have to be, if you really are about forgiving, you won't even need to ask, well, can I forgive and not forget? When people ask that question, when they say, can I forgive and not forget? You haven't forgiven, because there is a part of you that thinks, oops, that's going to happen again. I put guards up. True forgiveness is to change your relationship to it. Is to remove your relationship from maybe judgment of the person, of the experience of yourself, to thinking about what was it trying to teach you? What is that experience? What did it teach you? And if you had an experience where you got to welcome yourself home because it led you to a spiritual group, where you found a book, where you found a meditation teacher, and because of that experience, you are a different person now. It caused you enough pain to seek peace. Can you still judge that experience? Because to judge that experience, to judge the bad, is to judge the result of the bad. Everything that happens, we have a choice to either grow from it or just be bitter about it. If we take this moment that we're going through and we use it to assist ourselves, on the other end, we create a whole new world. And it's not just the fact that we say a world where there's less pollution, a world where people are more loving to one another. Yeah, that's true. But that will not happen until you start polluting your mind with judgment, blame, criticism, not enoughness. Not enoughness. Because what we see in the world is a reflection of our consciousness, of our mindset. No matter how you want to debate that, it's a reflection of what you know to be real. 10 people can go to a movie theater and they come with 10 different interpretations of the movie, because we bring our own interpretation to what we're seeing, what we're observing. So if in your holier than thou-ness, you spend more time judging people, even if the whole world can agree with you of what the person did was wrong, guess what? You become the beneficiary of that judgmental energy that you're putting out. So you're investing into more judgment, and you're going to experience that. Thoughts, they boomerang. They go out and they come back. Thoughts are like seed. You plant them and they grow. And you are the one that's going to notice it. You're the one that's going to say, oh my God, this is growing. Now, if you're open to transformation and change, you'll recognize, ooh, I must have grown this. Grown? Ooh, Lord Jesus. I like making words, but that's a bit much. I grew this. Now I get to see it. But here's the thing. God, the divine, Father, Mother, God, the infinite, the universe, Baba, Iya, Allah, Jesus, call his name, call her name, call its name, whatever name you want to call it, never wastes anything. Everything that you do or don't do or regret that you did can be used for your transformation. That's why it's important to embrace your physical, your humanness, your humanity. I remember working at UPS in Atlanta, Georgia. And that experience, they work you. So much so that we often joke about UPS, meaning, what is the acronym? It's underpaid slaves. Because I was working the midnight shift to like from midnight. Well, actually, it was I think around 10 or 11 to like 6 o'clock. Sometimes we went home early. But when you pack those packages, you literally have to create a wall. So any little holes, you got to put a box in there. So much so when you lean into it, nothing's going to happen, because they know the truck is traveling from Atlanta, Georgia to maybe New York. So we want to make sure all the packages are tight, that there's no movement. That was, I don't know, over 15 years ago. And I still pride myself of being able to pack things. When people are moving, when I'm moving, I just tell people, no, just bring everything and leave it here. And when I pack, now, if I have some of my friends listening, if you're moving, I'm not interested. Get a mover. But I'm just talking about the past. Because we used to have a Beetle, and we had like about 15 djembe drums, and I would get it in there. It becomes like muscle memory or intuitive packing. Why am I saying that? What I'm saying is the things you did in the past, the job you did that you didn't like, it's all in you. It's all available for you to use for your growth and transformation. The universe, God uses everything. Nothing is wasted. So even this moment, with the amount of numbers of people that are dying, that they keep telling you, so many people have died today. More people have died in the UK than blah, blah, blah. Even that is used for the growth and transformation of humanity. We can benefit from the transformation that is happening. Transformation is hard sometimes. It is messy sometimes. And death and dying is part of the process. And if we can learn from this experience, that you can get spiritual enough to avoid death. And in fact, the process of being spiritual is a process of dying. Because you're letting go of things that no longer serve you. You're letting go of ways of beings. And you not just letting it go intellectually, but you're willing to just share it. And your story, your experience becomes a sacred medicine for somebody else. There's a story that's kind of going around in my mind that I'm kind of checking in as I talk. Should I share it? But the fact that I'm going back and forth because this come up so many times, I'm like, I don't know if I want to share that. And so I'm going to share it. This process. See, what we do with this time this time in life where it's been marked. There's a marker that says pandemic, global pandemic. What we do individually is a gift to humanity and those that are yet to come. So we get to ask ourselves, what am I adding to it? So I am going through a process where things are falling apart. Ideas are falling apart. Identities are falling apart. Yes. So it's a longer story, but I'm going to keep it short. Yeah. Of course. So one of the things, how do I say this? One thing that is consistent in my life when I look at it is this thing about being different. There are times when I embrace the part of me, or when I feel like I'm different, I embrace it. And there are times where I just want to run from it. Where there are times when it caused me pain. There are times where I can see the gift of being different. And there are many ways that has showed up. And I've, kind of over the years, I've kind of thought, yeah, well, sometimes I feel displaced. Sometimes I feel uprooted. And I say, well, I was conceived in Germany. 6 months later, my parents moved to UK. And then 4 years later, 4 years after I was born, they moved to Nigeria. And then eventually I moved back to UK. And then I moved to America. And now I'm back in the UK. And that's kind of summary. But when I look at my life, my journey, that's been moving from one country to another. And I'll tell you right now, the conditions that surrounded your conception and where you were conceived matters. It makes a difference. That's what I'm going to say about that. So I have been talking to a friend because there's some things that I'm part of in America, so an organization called Interplay, and the things that we're doing, and it's around racial equity. And I'm on the board member. I'm one of the board members of Interplay, as well as some of these groups, and I'm part of the Interplay People of Color group. And actually, it's called BIPOC now, BIPOC, Black Indigenous People of Color. That makes more sense. But the more we learn about ourselves, the more we have acronyms and letters, and we recognize we're so much more. So I'm trying to see how I can narrow this story to make the point. But long story short, when I was in Atlanta, it was easier to be part of those groups. I was just showing up and just doing what I was doing, and really I believe in humanity. I came here to bring about transformation. I'm an Aries. My numbers, all my numbers, my name, both my names, actually, my first name, my middle name, and my last name starts with an A. My numbers, my date of birth, when you add it together, is a 1, is a 10. So I'm a leader. I'm about transformation. So wherever there is any kind of injustice, you got my attention. Not just attention, I want to do something about it. So when I was in Atlanta, Georgia, in America, let me say it that way, and I was over there getting involved in those programs, it was easy. But I did struggle a little bit saying, well, I wasn't born in America. So I didn't experience racism the way my friends, my brothers and sisters experienced it, because they were born there and grew up there. And sometimes I struggled with it. Then I moved back to the UK, where there's racism here. It's a little little bit more subtle, not as loud. In America, they're going to tell you, damn it, we're not taking this. Over here, be like, well, they don't want to change. It's okay. We just have to take whatever. Anyway, that's my experience. So when I'm back here, and after being so exposed to the influence of white supremacy, the influence of power that's misused and privilege, not just as it relates to white people, because sometimes we want to compartmentalize that. We all have some kind of privilege. Anyway, so coming back here, it was a different atmosphere. So the way I view the world now is different from how I used to see it. So sometimes when I see a picture or graphic, and I'm like, well, that picture is not diverse enough. We need to have graphics that reflect humanity. But I also noticed that here I feel a sort of conflict. Like almost like when I came back here, I don't know, here to the UK, it's like I don't know how to fit, because the way I'm seeing the world seems a little bit more fine-tuned than I am experiencing with people around me, or just generally speaking. Now, on top of that, my parents are Nigerian. So when people, which is interesting, when people asked me in America, where you from? I'll say, I'm Nigerian. I was born in UK. And they'll go, huh? It's like, well, my roots, it's rooted in Africa. So I got to acknowledge that. Over here, I have noticed lately, I say, my parents are from Nigeria. I was born here. And I've been kind of just taking that apart. Like, what's that about? Why can't I say in the UK, I'm from Nigeria, I was born here? I'm going somewhere with this. I know it seems like a long story, but stay with me, because the story that I'm sharing, not just to share my story, I can do that. But anything that I share really is with the intention that it helps you see yourself, and it helps you tweak, shift wherever you need to. Now, all that story, being African, born in UK and lived in America for over 25 years, and now back in the UK, it is, there's some things that I've been struggling with about that, finding my place in the world. So in America, I'm not an American, but it feels more like home. In UK, I was born here, but it's like, it's UK. It doesn't feel like home. Nigeria, where I spent my childhood, feels like home, but I've been gone for so many years, probably, not 40 years, but almost 40 years, and I haven't been back since I left. So it's hard to find where I belong sometimes. So I was talking to a friend recently, and in our conversation, I knew I was dealing with that conflict, but the conversation just allowed me to look at the conflict without judging myself. So one of the things that came out of the conversation for me was, it's like I'm wearing a mask. So there's a mask that represents Nigeria, there's a mask that represents UK, and there's a mask that represents US. And I've spent most of my time trying to figure out which mask am I wearing, or which one is the best one to wear. How do I wear the three masks and be okay? But in the process, in my willingness to really look, and all this was coming up, and even sharing it with her, I was very vulnerable. I was very, very vulnerable about it. But she felt to me like I can share with her what was coming up for me. And in the conversation, because I didn't run from it, what I realized is, so there's this mask, there's this way of expressing, way of being. But there's another part of me that is not even moved by those masks. And what I discovered, what came up for me in that is who I am at the core, if you want to say my highest self, my original self, the self that is not, how do I say this? The authentic me, that feels good. The authentic me was able to express itself through this mask. Even though I had a judgment about those masks. So when things were falling apart, it was scary. But when I sat with it, I saw that those masks gave me a unique way to express myself in the world. I always find like I can really get along with anybody. And when I say anybody, I mean from wherever they are in the world. I get curious about their story, about their upbringing, about what they have to say. Sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm too understanding. I can't even get mad sometimes. Because if you were here at the beginning, you realize that I was so understanding, but I got mad. But I realized, yeah. So what I came up with is, I said, I am learning to embrace my multiple identities, not personalities, identities. Because in Nigeria, if I go there, I feel like they'll look at me like, who's this one from the Western world? In the UK, they probably won't even see me, but I'm like, I don't know. In America, I'm feeling like, I'm not really from here. But the truth is, there's always been a part of me. It was not an accident that my life has been the way it has unfolded and continues to unfold. So why am I telling that story? One reason consciously that I'm aware of, because of first reason, whatever, well, I don't know if it's the first reason, but one reason that I'm consciously aware of is if we can embrace things that are falling apart now, what we gain is ourselves. What we gain is we get to see ourselves in a whole new light, even though the process is painful. Even though we may judge ourselves. Some people judge themselves for having everything they need while other people are suffering. They judge themselves from having the things they need because other people don't have it, or don't want to be joyful because some people are suffering. But like I said, was it last week? You can't be miserable enough to help somebody who is miserable feel better. If you're financially abundant and free, and if you really feel like people are poor and suffering, if you give away your money and say, well, I'm just going to be poor because there's other people being poor, it ain't going to change their situation. What we can do for one another is to access the best of ourselves and express that and let that lead us and guide us rather than intellectual masturbation. Yeah, it will drive us crazy. It will drive us crazy. Maybe in your life, things are not falling apart. And you're like, yep, I know that. I know that. Just wait. And when I say just wait, life's going to happen. And I am joining with you that when it does happen, you have the strength to just hold on. Not tight, just loosely. Because when things are falling apart, maybe you do really need to finally let go. I'm telling you, I have spent a lot of my adult years trying to make my mask look like one, trying to make excuses, trying to prove that I'm Nigerian, trying to prove I'm here, I'm from here, trying to prove, I don't know what I try and prove with America. Well, I guess I tried to prove, I don't know what I'm trying to prove as it relates to that. I'll sit with that. But what I'm saying is, when things are falling apart, and things are falling apart in my life, some of you know about it. It was a global experience. I already know what it's like to be locked down. It was a government. This is nothing. I still go out for a walk. Please. That was, yeah, talk about things falling apart. And it broke me down to my core. And that's life. There's always a dying process. And when we go through this dying process and the rebirth is happening, and we come from that place of truth, that place of authenticity, your story, our story gets to liberate others. I heard a quote, it was a quote, it was the author actually saying this, Sue Monk Kidd. She said this, and when she said it, I felt it. I was like, ooh, I know what this means. So she was talking about people coming to her and telling her about her book. And I think it was A Secret Life of Bees, and how people felt like, oh, you were telling my story. Or maybe it's another book that she wrote, Sue Monk Kidd, Kidd. And she said, the deeper we go into our own individual journey, the more likely we are to hit the universal. The deeper we go into our own individual journey, the more likely we are to hit the universal. You can take that in different ways. One, when you tell your own story, your true story, you will touch other people universally. That's another word that doesn't seem like universally. Is that a word? It is now. You would touch people that you may never see. And then the other part is when you go deep in your individual self, in your individual journey, in your humanity. Maybe you've experienced abuse. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe you've been homeless. And you go deep into that experience and look at how that experience has made you who you are. You will tap into universal truth. You will recognize your spirituality. You'll remember that spirituality is not something you do, it's something you live. So if you're trying to be enlightened, if you're trying to be free, if you're trying to be more loving, more compassionate, go deep into your human experience. Yeah, you're nervous. Yeah, you're going to feel vulnerable. Yeah, you don't have the courage. Okay. Oh, it is getting messy that you get cleaned up. If you're not messy, you're already clean, always clean. Who wants to clean you up? Nobody. In your mess, you get to catch the message of your life, and then you become the messenger. And when you sit with your mess, you catch the message, and in order to be the messenger, you tap into deep wisdom. I'm going to come into the chat room for a minute, but before I do this, I want to read this because it's important. Daily thoughts. Is that for today? I think this is for today. Yes, it is. Daily thoughts from the Hillside International Truth Center. Written by yours truly. A friend of mine loves when I say that. I wrote this, and I want to read it for today, Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. But the date is relevant because it would hit you whenever it needs to hit you. And the affirmation is, I am guided by the voice of the divine. Yes, indeed. There is a voice. This voice is wise. It is clear. And it is powerful. When you hear it, you will know it. It is always speaking, always broadcasting. Tune your frequency to its wavelength, and you will hear exactly what you need to hear. You will know it by how you feel. Trust the voice. Go ahead, tune in, listen. Tune in and listen, and you are guaranteed to be transformed. I listen to the voice of the divine. I listen to the voice of the divine daily, and it always guides me. My spiritual practices have heightened my awareness to hear and feel even the subtle whispers of the divine. The voice of the divine is my internal guidance system. It is my IGS. I am always guided to right action. I always rely on the voice no matter what I am going and growing through. Thank you, wisdom in me, through me, as me, around me, through the Christ within. And so it is. And the scripture is, my own sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. There is a power, there is a presence around you, within you, guiding you, and you're in it. It's always whispering. In the darkest of dark, it is there with you. In the highs of highs, it's there with you. Let me look at the chat room because I'm getting ready to release this. Whew, thank you. Kwali said, I am so understanding your story, Ade. I have always lived from my higher self, the self that sees all as one. We are. And when we refuse to see it, life will put your nose in it. You know how they tell you to treat train dogs when they poop in their house? Till you put the nose in it. If you run from the unity consciousness, the consciousness of oneness, life is going to constantly, just by default, put your nose in it. And then you start judging other people. Hello, Tina. How are you doing? She said, don't judge. Be grateful. Gratitude is a frequency that lifts up. I can do a show on that. India said, whew, 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 whew. Yeah, right. Just went through the inner conflict with myself as well. Deep. It is a blessing when everything crumbles. It is spirit telling us stop building our penthouse suite on a false foundation. It is a divine opportunity to rebuild on our truth. That's right, Tina. Jeannie, it's nice to see you, my dear sister. Yeah. Tina, let me give you that quote again. I know you said paraphrasing, just in case you want it, need it, desire to hear it again, by Sue Monk Kidd. The deeper we go into our own journey or experience, the more likely we are to hit the universal. The deeper you go into your humanity, the more likely you are to hit spirit. Remember, there is no spot where God is not. Richard, how are you doing, Richard? Richard said, thank God for giving me a wonderful mind and the power of choice. I choose to stay safe, whole, healthy, and complete. Peace and love to you, my brother. I receive it with a grateful, open heart. I'm guided by the voice of the divine. That's right. Just reading. Those of you who are listening to the audio, I'm just reading the chat room. I want to make sure there's anything I need to address, like read it out loud so you can hear it. And yeah, because this is going to be added to my podcast. Well, this is my podcast, but yeah, I'm doing it live now. Get it? Yeah, figure it out. If you subscribe to it, being you, because that's what it's about, podcast, then you understand. This going live is new for the podcast. It's all the same, really. Let me scroll down. That's it. You got it? No, Tina said, there is no spot where God is not. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, psychics and skeptics, physical beings and non-physical beings. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for the work you're doing in yourself and what you're doing for humanity. We need each other. Do your work that you can create a space for healing from a place of heart-centeredness, because egotistical spirituality will get you jacked up. Egotistical spirituality will have you be all the way up there like, yeah, that's why I'm a vegan. Yeah, well, people die because they're not the vegan. Well, you're going to die, so what? It's like, shut up. I don't care if you're a vegan. We're all going to die. We get to live life the way we want to live. Boy, did I just get judgmental there. I was all up in it. But guess what? I still love myself. It's a good time to release this conversation. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. And I thank God for you. And those of you who are listening to the audio, you will hear John Stringer. To find out more about John Stringer, go to his website, johnstringerinc.com. John Stringer, INC. We need each other. Why? Because we are each other. So let's stick together. Let's keep loving, keep growing, and don't be afraid. Linda, nice to see you. Don't be afraid to face your shit. Your shit is going to bring you to a shift. Your shit is a blessing. Find a blessing in your shit. All right. It's time to go. Please, actually, I know what I can do. How you guys can hear the song on the way out. I think. Thank you, India, for helping out behind the scenes. I'll be back next week, and Rev D will be joining me, Reverend Deborah L. Johnson. Whenever she's here, you know that she brings it. Peace and blessings. I love you. I'm out.
There is a space in my heart where I find the truth. I find me in you, a truth beyond what you may see now. But when we are one, we bring more good about. No matter who or what you call yourself or where you come from, yeah. There is a place in this world with open arms right now. Welcome to love, welcome to peace.